No, it's great to be with you this morning because I want to thank Misha Auto, the Chamber, and everyone coming together to really create this organization, because it's a chance to do things in a better way, to say we've learned something over the last decade or so. All of us went through hard times. If I ask you here, did anyone have a great decade, there probably wouldn't be a whole lot of hands going up. We had major struggles. But the exciting part is we've learned from that. And we've learned some important lessons that I hope we don't forget. Actually, this is a chance to go back to the greatness that we saw in many respects a century ago. And that's what I'm focused in on. Because it wasn't about fixing Michigan. It was about reinventing Michigan, saying that we can be the innovation capital again, that we can bring wonderful things to bear to make us a great state again. And I'm proud to say I believe we're doing that in partnership. Because when I tell people my goals are to create more and better jobs and a future for our kids, I always like to remind people that government doesn't create the jobs. You create the jobs. Your companies do. Your hard work does. And that's what really matters. In relative roles, the role of government is not to simply take tax dollars and spend money. It's actually to create an environment for success, to make it so you can be successful at doing the very best at what you do, and to give you great customer service. The simple model I work under is I have 10 million customers, the citizens and organizations in our state. And literally, believe it or not, I think the long-term goal needs to be, do you feel you bought the right amount of government? I know that's hard for you to believe because you probably never felt that way. But isn't that the way it should be? That at some point you step back and say, hey, I bought the right amount of education. I bought the right amount of public safety. I feel good about the piece of my life that's going to the public sector, and I'm seeing real return for that. So that's what I stay focused on, to create that environment for success. Now, the good part is we're starting from a strong base. And Sandy went through a lot of wonderful facts about Michigan being the automotive center of North America. And again, we're proud of our legacy of being the center of the world's automotive industry. We are the Motor City. He went through the numbers. 61 of the top 100 North American auto suppliers have their headquarters here, 375 research centers. We make over 20% of the cars are still assembled in Michigan. That's a huge base to build on. But again, I want to keep that going. So how do we support you? How do we create that environment for success? Well, it started with some simple things. They weren't easy to do, but they're simple concepts. The funny part is I appreciate Sandy's comments about being a nerd. I am a nerd. I'm a proud nerd. But this isn't rocket science. Most of this is common sense in terms of what we need to do. And it starts with some fundamentals. It started with the tax system. That was one of the first things I talked about when I got on the campaign trail back in 2009. We had the Michigan business tax. It was the dumbest tax in the United States. You know that. It was like Swiss cheese. It was fundamentally unfair in terms of figuring out what your liabilities were going to be. So the funny part is when I was running, people said, let's cut it in half. Let's cut the surcharge. My answer was, if you take dumb and divide by 2, it's still dumb. See, engineers and accountants, we get that. So we got rid of it, and I went to something I called simple, fair, and efficient. We had a few adjustments because of how complicated the federal tax code is, but basically you take federal taxable income times 6%, write a check, go run your business. And if you're exporting, if you're selling outside of Michigan, you won't pay tax on those sales because it's based on sales. And if you have assets or people in our state, it doesn't cost you anything extra. That's a pretty fair system. Next one was the regulatory system. We had two problems there. We had too much regulation and how we applied the regulation. We've gotten rid of over 1,300 rules and regulations since I've become governor. A lot of dumb things. But even more important in my view is how we treat people. There was an old attitude to say government people were there sort of penalizing you. They're out to say, how can I give you a fine or a penalty or make your life difficult? That's backward. Our role is to help you succeed. And so we're working on that transition to say, how do we help you win? How do we help you comply? Because again, it is important, if it's a reasonable rule, that you do comply, because it's for the safety and welfare of all of us. But how do we create an environment to say, how do we deal with it effectively? How do we get you that permit fast? How do you do it so you can be successful? That's critically important. Now, one of the other things you find that in that first group of big things I worked on was, is Michigan going to be a stable place? Because as a former business person, one of the first things I go to, even before you say you like the rules or not, are they certain and consistent? Do you know what the rules are? And do you know what environment you're going to be in so you can operate? Because one of the big challenges is this issue of financial stability. If you don't have financial stability, you're always going to be looking over your shoulder to say, is there a big tax increase coming? Or is there something else coming that could be a big problem? And we've seen a couple states do that, where all of a sudden, essentially, their citizens and their companies got blindsided with big increases because they didn't manage their finances well. Well, when I took office, our finances were a mess. We had $1.5 billion deficit. It's gone. We've balanced our budgets the fastest in the last 30 years for the last 3 years, and we've gotten them done months earlier than in the past. No accounting gimmicks. I'm the token CPA governor in the country, and I'm proud of it. So we've gotten rid of those kind of things. But one thing that we do too often in the public sector, the government sector, they think about 1 year or how long their term in office is. And that's sort of how they plan on the use of funds. That's not right. We forecast through 2040. I did that starting day one. And so we build payment plans in for our liabilities through that time frame. And we've got those payment plans in place. We've done liability reforms. We took $20 billion off our liability, off our books for liabilities, through either payment plans or fundamental reforms for future costs. I've joked to people, but it's a true thing. If you want a really sweet job in Michigan, run for governor in 2038. You can look forward. The past would have been covered pretty much. Isn't that the way we should be operating in all our public sector places? So we're doing all those fundamental things that you expect of government, but I want to talk about a couple other things that I'm really proud about that we're working on that I think are supportive of the business community, because that's how we win together. The most important thing quite often outside of certainty and knowing what government's going to do is you're looking for the most talented workforce, the best group of people you can find, the best talent to be successful in your business. I always said if you got the best talent, you're going to win. Well, we've really focused in on how do we do that here in Michigan. Because in my view, in our country, we have a broken system of connecting talented people to great opportunities. And let me give you an illustration of that. One, look at how many more engineers you need in your companies, most likely, either now or in the future. So there's this question at the university level, do we have enough STEM graduates, science, technology, engineering, and math, in relationship to university graduates? We don't. We need a higher percentage of STEM, and we need more university graduates. But an even bigger problem, an even bigger mess up on our part, is we got away from vocational training in our country. Now the word is career tech ed. Back when I'm an old guy, it was vo-ed. Now it's career tech. And that's about the skilled trades and the production people that need specialized training. We've gotten seriously away from that in our country. Well, we're bringing that back in Michigan. Both those topics, in terms of a real focus. In terms of looking at one program we just launched this year that I'm really proud of, that I brought back from a trade mission to Germany after working with a number of great German companies that have presence here in Michigan, is we created something called MAT Squared, Michigan Advanced Technician Training. We're piloting it in its first year. We partnered with Oakland Community College, Henry Ford Community College, and a number of Michigan companies, a number that have major operations or headquarters in Germany. And the way the program works is you apply, young people apply, they get in the program, they get paid while they're in the program. After 3 years, they come out with an associate's degree. And if they're successful, there's a job waiting for them right there, right when they finish. And they have a commitment to work for that company for 2 or 3 years. And the program we're starting with is mechatronics, which is really cool, mechanical and electronics put together. That's the kind of people you want running that robotic equipment or that important equipment on your production floor. I want to see that program really scale up. I want to see it continue to grow in mechatronics, but add other fields, add new opportunities. That's a great win for all of us, for you, for these young people, for our communities, for their families. Another thing on the talent front that's even longer term planning that I think is exciting. FIRST Robotics. How many of you here sponsor a FIRST Robotics team? I bet there's quite a few. Well, I see we got a lot of good marketing opportunity here. FIRST Robotics is this really cool competition in high school and middle school that encourages kids outside the classroom to do robotics competitions. It's awesome. If you've never seen one of these, you've got to see one. It is really neat. Last year they had a competition about shooting frisbees and blocking frisbees and everything else where literally they have these robots going. And the cool part isn't just because it's fun, but the kids on these teams are incredible. The kids on these teams are writing the software. They're building the hardware of the robot. They're doing the marketing plan for how to do fundraising for the robot team. And in Michigan, we have about 10% of the teams in the country, just 10% right here in our state. I'm so excited about it, I got budget resources to double the number of teams. I want us to have 20% of the teams in the country. Because I can tell you, if I saw somebody that had FIRST Robotics on their resume, that's someone I'm going to light up when I'm talking to them because of the commitment they made and the hard work they're doing. So there's exciting opportunity on that talent front. My goal is to have Michigan lead the comeback in terms of connecting the supply and demand of talent, of looking at the STEM issue, of looking at the career tech issue, because I believe it's a strategic advantage for the state of Michigan. I believe it's about a 10 to 20 year first mover advantage by having us do it better than anyone else. The other program I was going to mention to you is beyond talent, the next best thing is about customer relationships and supply relationships. So a couple years ago we created Pure Michigan Business Connect. Really simple. It's a good neighbor policy about helping you get introduced to your neighbors. That could be great suppliers or customers. It's been a huge success. We started with DTE and Consumers Energy as two pilot programs 2 years ago, actually at the Chamber Conference. They both signed up to say after 5 years they'd both buy $250 million more incrementally in our state in terms of additional buying within Michigan for a total of $500 million. After 5 years. You know what happened this May on the 2-year anniversary? They announced their new goals. They both went to $1 billion for a total of $2 billion. They went up 4x. They had found so many great relationships. And did we ask them to do any special pricing or special deals? No. All we do is facilitate and administer the program. That's good business, folks. And now we've got a number of people in your industry to sign up. We've launched it with Ford and some of the OEMs, but I'm encouraging everyone in this room to sign up for Pure Michigan Business Connect because it's a great way to do business. That's how we can help in terms of facilitating those relationships. So if you step back and look at, hopefully we're doing that environment you really want in terms of saying the basics, tax, regulatory, financial stability, knowing where we're going. Innovative things, though, that really make a difference for your business. Talent, the supply chain, and then importantly, longer term is having a great quality of life, a place you want to live, a place where you want to raise your family. And folks, Michigan's tough to beat. It's a wonderful place. It was a lot of fun. I was in China just a couple weeks ago, China and Japan, in fact, and we were launching Pure Michigan there. And it was fun to see the difference when you're in Tokyo or Shanghai or Beijing and you see Pure Michigan. It looks like a pretty good place to live, folks. They're wonderful big cities, but I'll take Sleeping Bear Dunes any day. So it's really creating that environment for a great place for people to live, too, because that's how we can win together. One thing in particular, though, now I want to get very specific about automotive, because in many respects, it was interesting when I was running for governor, people kept on saying, well, you got to diversify your state. Auto's in trouble, manufacturing's in trouble. What are you going to do now? What new industries are you bringing to Michigan? That was backwards, folks. I'm proud to say we're the auto capital. I'm proud to say we're doing manufacturing. There's a term I've been promoting all across the world as I go called Made in Michigan. We've got a culture, we've got a legacy. We know how to make products in this state. We know how to grow products. We know how to create ideas in our state. And the way I view the global world going is you're going to find centers in each part of the globe, each continent, that are going to be the go-to place to build a product. Whether that be the engineering piece, the manufacturing piece, But in North America, Michigan's the place to be. Because we went through those tough times. So just think how dumb when people said you should walk away from that and you should do other stuff. Just as you go through tough times and you come back and you're really productive, you should stop doing it. That's a backward concept. Now's the time to double down to say, let's do it well. Let's learn. Let's partner together. Let's be that team of success. So I'm proud to say we've led the country in manufacturing jobs the last 3 years, by far, in terms of what's been coming to Michigan. In terms of research and development, you know it's right here in Michigan for the auto industry. There are so many great things to build on in terms of keeping that path going. So we're going to stay on that path in terms of saying, let's continue that development. The other one is I want to get the word out about the auto industry. Folks, we got a marketing issue we do need to work on. Because too often I'll hear people talk about information technology as being the high-tech field. Well, give me a break. Come on, you know that. The technology, the high technology in an auto actually includes the IT piece and so many other pieces. So one of the things we really need to do, and I'm happy to support this, and I encourage Mich Auto to take the lead, is we need to get word out to people in our country about how great it is to be in the auto industry, and young people in particular. That there are great careers there. There's great opportunity. If you want to be at the forefront of integrating new concepts, new ideas, and innovation, one of the greatest places you could be is this industry. And we don't tell that message well. And we can do a better job of that. And it's not only a good thing to do in terms of building the industry and making it stronger, it's at a personal level too. I see some young people here. And if I went around this room and asked how many of you had kids, I could get a lot of hands to go up. But think about that. Shouldn't we be letting our young people know what great opportunities we have here, and don't we want to keep them here? One of the best ways to do that is to be loud and proud. We've been down, we've been beat up, we've gone through a lot of negative times. One of the greatest challenges I'll tell you that I have as governor of Michigan, my single greatest challenge of being governor of Michigan, isn't changing one law or regulation. It's changing a culture. It's changing a culture that was too negative, looked too much in the rearview mirror for the good old days, and spent too much time fighting with it among ourselves. And it was really changing it to a culture that's positive, that's forward-looking, to say our best days are ahead of us, to say we need to be inclusive, we need to stop fighting and find common ground areas we can win together on and put those solutions in place. And it's happening. It's been happening the last 2 or 3 years. Look at how far we've come. We're the comeback state. You're the comeback industry. But what I encourage you to say is, we learned this from the past, is do not get complacent, do not get content. Recognize that we're only at the start of this great comeback. And if anything, we need to bring a passion, a fire, an energy to say, let's not slow down, let's not keep the same pace, but let's actually accelerate. Let's go faster. Let's work harder, because it's a special opportunity. So I hope you take with great pride that you are in an industry that was in many respects broken in a lot of ways. That you were in a state that was broken. And that because of our hard work about learning new ways, of having great groups come together, Mich Auto, people working, talking together, recognizing that we had issues, being honest about our problems, and simply using common sense solutions. We're solving those problems. Let's solve them one after another. My favorite phrase, you know, this is with relentless positive action. We're bringing back the auto industry, we're bringing back the state of Michigan, and we're going to bring back that great future for all our kids' kids, so we can say with great pride, we were here at the forefront, we build a foundation for success. Thank you so much for getting together. I hope you're excited, I hope you're fired up, and let's go show the rest of the world that made in Michigan something special. Thank you so much.